Hello everyone, and welcome to another oil painting. My name is John with John Monarchic Fine Art, and I will be your host today. Okay, we are going to do a painting on a 16 by 20 stretch canvas. We are going to be using something different today. The last two or three paintings were all with the pigment sticks, and today we are using the Griffin Alkyd Oil Paint. It's a really good paint. It's made by Winsor Newton, and it has an alkyd resin, additive to it, and it dries to the touch. Probably the thickness that I use, the impasto that I use, 24 to 36 hours. And then you can varnish it in 4 to 6 weeks with a permanent varnish. It's really an awesome paint. It's been around since the 70s. A lot of professionals use it. It's got a really good light fast rating. It's permanent. It's professional quality paint, but it's not ridiculously expensive. This is a 200 ml and it is $26. Here is Windsor Lemon, and this is a little 37 ml, and this is like $6.81. So it's not a really break your budget type of paint either. Okay, today we're going to use, let's see here, 6 colors, and white. So let's just go real quick through them. Let me get a brush to point. Start with the titanium white, and then we'll go to the Windsor Lemon, permanent alizarin crimson, French ultramarine, Payne's gray, permanent sap green, and yellow ochre. And just pricing wise, other than the titanium white and the 200 ml, the normal ones here are the $6.81. The permanent alizarin crimson and the permanent sap green are the only two that are more expensive than the other 37 mLs, and those aren't ridiculous either. They're like 9 something for each tube of those. So they're actually extremely reasonable. Okay, so today we're going to be doing it like normal, starting with our 2-inch brush. Let me see if I can get my medium open here. Pour some on my palette. Okay, so we got our 2-inch brush we're going to start with, and we're going to use sap green and Payne's gray, which is normally what we do. Now, if you've been following my paintings at all, my videos, you know that I love water, fresh water, so we're going to have fresh water. Just not sure where yet. So, start one more green. There we go. Ooh, that's nice. Actually, now that I'm doing this, let's put a little bit of a mountain or a hill or something back here. Nothing too crazy. I love this color. It's just the right mixture here. Let's see, do it this way. Okay, I know what we're going to do. A little bit more Payne's gray in this. I'm trying a new configuration here with my video. I actually have a real nice webcam that I just bought. Usually I use my iPhone because I'm reasonably confident in my painting, but my video taking abilities, not so much. And I'm trying to find something that'll make it, easier for everybody to view the videos and stuff. Okay, so doing the same thing here. We'll end up doing waterfall. Probably not going to be that big, but you never know. Today is January 14th. I live in the western suburbs of Chicago, but from what I've seen, it doesn't matter where you are in the U.S. for the most part. Unless you hit Central Florida, you've got a deep chill that you're in. And today's high is supposed to be 0. 0. And tomorrow's supposed to be high of 0, and then Tuesday a high of 1. And then it warms up really good on Wednesday to, I think, 8. So we're in a bit of a cold snap here, which is kind of interesting. And we just had, in some areas, not mine, I got like 5 or 6 inches of snow on Friday into Saturday, and some northwest suburbs got 10 to 12. So Old Man Winter has been a little harsh right now. So everybody's kind of digging out and now bundling up to stay warm. Me, I'm been in Chicago most of my life, so I'm used to it. I mean, we don't get the harsh winters like we used to anyway. I remember as a kid growing up, I'm gonna be 58 next month. I remember we used to get 0 on a regular basis, and a lot of times you wouldn't even see the grass until end of March, middle of March, like that. You start seeing the grass pop through because we had so darn much snow. So we don't get anywhere near as bad as we did. But anybody that's out there, just be careful, bundle up, take your time. And if you're not out there, sit yourself down and watch my video and see if you like it. Okay, I think I'm done with the preliminary. Okay. Actually, I kind of like that. So, what do we have here? Now, I told you this kind of throwing the paint down and everything else I've kind of adopted. Dennis Sheehan is one that I don't want to say emulate, but I adopted a little bit of his style. He's more into tonalism, where I like to have the really vibrant colors at the end. Same thing with Stuart Davies. Stuart Davies, I think, is still, I know he's still active on YouTube. Where Dennis Sheehan, a lot of his videos I noticed were like 6, 7 years old, I think. Both of them, though, have that, let's put a couple of colors that we really like thin to have like the tonalism beginning. Okay, that's what I got here. I got a tonalism beginning, but my painting won't end up as tonalism. It'll end up with vibrant colors. But I love the start. Okay, I love sketching my scene and not knowing what I'm doing, other than I know it'll be at water somewhere. So what I did today, as opposed to different, is I got my horizon down a little bit. Okay, and my water is down a little bit. A lot of times it's up here. I'm putting it down, going right off the edge. I might have a couple of little reeds or cattails or something over there. This will be land. This might be sloping land. It might be rocks. Might be a cliff ledge. I have not decided yet. The only thing I know for sure is I got a waterfall. I've got a river. I'm guessing, a distant hill, of closer uphill, and then a sky. That's what I know for sure. But it's laid out. Okay, so I've got my start. And like I said, it's on a 16 by 20 canvas, so it's real nice to lay out like that. And you could do the same thing on the small ones. Okay, obviously you need smaller brushes, because I do a lot of 5 by 7 and 6 by 8 work. As a matter of fact, tomorrow I get my Blick package, which has 4 6 by 8 packages, and each package has 3 6 by 8 1/8-inch ampersand gesso boards in it. I love doing the small paintings, and I'll show you real quick. Just to give you an idea about the vibrance of colors. Here's a 6 by 8 that I did. Now this whole thing, you can see how vibrant all the reds and yellows and greens and everything is. But it started out like this, with the very diluted oil color and that tonalism look. And then it ends up, like this, as far as the vibrancy of the colors. And that's kind of how I've adapted to it. One of the things I've learned is going through YouTube is awesome, because you can take a bunch of different artists and take a little bit from each one, and then before you know it, the more you paint, your style kind of appears. Okay, now, one of the things that I found out on accident, especially with landscapes, you can get away with it. I've got Payne's Gray and green in my brush, and I'm not going to clean it. I just wiped off the big stuff. I'm going to go into French ultramarine blue. Going to go into some white. And I still got a dirty brush from all this. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to spread this up real thin. I might even wipe a little bit of this off. A little thicker than I want. Actually, I'm going to. Let me wipe my brush off first. Now, the only reason I'm doing this is I want the sky a little bit lighter. Okay, so, and I don't want to have thick paint. I'd like the thick paint at the end, not in the beginning. The thick paint kind of gives oil paints its vibrancy and its beauty and everything else. And I love it, but not at this stage. This stage, I want everything thin. So this will keep the color on. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Okay. Now I'll go back to my titanium white. Now, I'm going to go right up to this mountain, back downhill, whatever you want to call it, and it's green. It's got a lot of green in it with the Payne's green. It's going to be right in my sky. Don't care. I really like green in the skies. I never thought I would, and then I did by accident one day when I'm painting. And I just liked it so much, I said, whoa, 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 I'm going to start keeping this. And it gives it, I don't know, this odd atmosphere or something to it that I just really like. And that's one of the beauties, one of the many beauties of oil painting, of painting in general. You're going to learn a lot of stuff by accident. And a lot of times the stuff you learn by accident is better than the stuff that you learn deliberately. Kind of funny how it works. Take it right to it. Now remember, this mountain on the right has a lot more Payne's gray. Okay, that's going to be closer to you. So it had to be darker, more pronounced. And this I'm probably going to keep the opaque, I'm going to get to opaque on it, but it's going to be a little more faint. So this one is going to stay dark. So this one will become forward and this one will be drawn back a little bit. Okay, so I've got all that in now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wipe my brush to get the thick stuff off. Okay, that's all I'm going to want to do. Get the thick stuff off. One of the beauties of landscape painting, I know I use that phrase a lot, one of the beauties of, I apologize, but it just sounds right. So, one of the beauties of oil painting is you have time to kind of fix things, do things. And one of the beauties of landscape painting is it's going to have a bunch of different colors everywhere. Now, I limit my palette to 4 to 6 colors. This one is 6 colors plus white. I'm going to use them everywhere. Okay, you notice I got Payne's gray more here than sap green, but it's still Payne's gray sap green mixture. I'm not taking that off. That's going to be part of the water. Just like it's part of the sky, it'll be part of the foothills, it'll be part of everything. And you don't wash your brush that often. You don't need to. It's landscape. If you get a little bit of color into another area, okay. So, anyways, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to smooth this guy out a little bit. I'm not going to make it perfectly smooth, but just a little bit. I'm not sure where everything's going yet. As far as how high up. I got some green right here that I am going to get out. So what I mean by get out, blend it. Same thing right here. Blend it. Get right into the sky. No worries. I'm just doing crisscross strokes. See, just crisscross strokes like this. I'll blend it. Now, one of the things that I do like, one of the many things, I like brush strokes. So you can smooth this to make it almost seem like an airbrush effect. I don't want to get anywhere near that smooth. I like having the different, look at it, you got dark, dark, medium, light. You get all kinds of stuff everywhere here. And from what I can tell from the monitor, it looks like you can see it on the monitor. You don't want flat artwork. You don't want flat painting. So you want thicker brush strokes here because the paint's a little thicker, it's a little thinner, it's a little smoother, a little darker, a little more Payne's gray in here, a little green over here. You love that variety. The more variety you have in a landscape painting, regardless of the medium, the better it is. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to define this hill just a little bit more. So let's get the rhetoric correct. That'll be a hill, that'll be a mountain. Does it matter? Not in the least. But it just makes me feel good when I'm talking. It's funny too because I like doing YouTube videos, part of it because I love painting and I like teaching a lot. Doing them in person is a little nicer because you have that immediate interaction with people, where I just had one in the Oak Brook Art League. Yeah, it was last week. It was last week. It was on the 3rd. That was a lot of fun. There was like 16 people there. And what was nice is they were asking questions while I was painting. So it was actually very cool. I enjoyed it a lot. Bunch of nice people over there. Oak Brook, Illinois, Oak Brook Art League. That's the Oak Brook Public Library. Okay, so you see how much I smoothed that out and made it faint? Now I am going to have some highlights. The way this is going, I'm still going to have my normal light on the upper left, so this will be highlighted. So I'll highlight this way a little bit, but it's not going to be a lot because it's further away. So here, I'm going to do the same thing I did to here, except I'm going to add some paint. This one's going to be a little thicker, but I'm still not going thick yet. Thicker is still different than thick. You'll see the difference as we go. And I am going right in front of this. Now, how do you get one element in front of another element? Lots of ways. And I'm going to take this down here to a degree. One of them is literally putting it in front of the other one like I'm doing. Okay, that's one way you get one element in front of the other. Another way is, let me get this real quick. I don't want it to go all the way down here. I'm going to have a little bit of land here. Just like I'm going to have some land over there. Okay, so another way you do it, you got the darker in front of, literally, I cut right across it. That pushes it back. The other one is, I have much darker right here than I do here. This is medium dark, this is very dark. I'm going to highlight this, and these highlights are going to be much brighter than these. These are going to be real faint. So, how do you do it? Many ways. One of them is one directly in front of the other. Another is weaker color and less highlights, stronger, richer, deeper color and stronger highlights. That's going to give the illusion of in front of you, and that's going to give the illusion of further back. Same thing what we do with trees. Very few branches are visible, more blues in there, and then it looks like it's further receding. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do, I don't know if I mentioned this before, get the cheapest paper towels you can find. I think my wife gets these at the dollar store or something for me, because you go through a lot of them. And that's not just with oil paints, but acrylics, watercolors, gouache, you name it. Paper towels are something you definitely need a lot of. Okay, so far, now we're not going to continue and finish the entire painting with one brush. But so far, we have a 2-inch bristle brush. This is a gesso brush I get from Dick Blick. And this is one of the few things that I can still buy at Dick Blick in person that I don't have to order online. They actually come, this is the 1.5, but it's the same thing. And that's how they come. So these things are like $12.50, $13, $14 a piece. But if you buy them in increments of 5, they're like half price. So these are like $6. And you can buy them in different sizes too. So that counts as 3 of them. Okay, a 1-inch, 1.5, and a 2. So you buy 5 of them, and now they're like $6 each. And it's a good deal. It's a nice bristle brush. It's not, ridiculously well done, but it's a good brush. And with the scrubbing way I do it, they last a little while. So it's a very good deal. And I believe they probably have that same kind of thing online if you're not in driving distance to a Blick. I got a Blick like 40 minutes away from me, so it's not too bad. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some yellow ochre, and I'm going to keep the same brush with the same stuff on it, just wiped it off. Yellow ochre, a little bit of green in it, a little bit of the sap green, not a lot. Okay, and I'm going to start with the land. Now, I'm not going to put the land all the way up to the mountain because I'm going to have little foothill trees here and there, but I'm going to put it really close. If it blends in with the colors around it, it's an added bonus. There we go. Everything I'm doing here, I want to have reasonably straight, meaning the horizontal way. Even though it's, because I want it to look further back. So I'm making that a straight line. This is straight line. So this looks like it's closer than that. And one of the things about painting one of the many things, is it's illusions, okay? This mountain scene, if this was a real scene that I was in front of painting, is a three-dimensional scene. You know, it's going to have rounded trees, mountains with form. This is a two-dimensional surface. So we need to give the illusion of 3D. And how do you do that? You do that with depth. You do that with lights and darks, form, things like that. Shapes. And that's where the magic is in oil painting. Well, any painting. Any drawing, any pastel, any of that stuff. When you're creating art, you have to have that illusion when you're, painting on or drawing on a piece of paper or canvas, wood, whatever the case may be. Got to give that illusion. Okay, now I'm going to put a little bit of white and a little bit of blue with the yellow ochre. A little bit more blue. That's too much. That's okay. I'll put a lot of yellow ochre on it in a second. And then I'll get it to the color I want. You can do a lot of things when you're mixing paint. You can mix it on the palette or you can mix it on the canvas. Doesn't matter. There is no right or wrong way. When you mix it on the canvas, I believe they call it optical mixing. When you mix it on the palette, I think they just call it mixing paint. I don't know. But it doesn't matter. I got the color down that I don't want. It's too close to what that hill is. And I need a little bit more yellow ochre than I had in there. There we go. That's better. Again, I'm going horizontal. Okay, I keep looking off at the monitor to see how we're looking. We're looking pretty good here. Okay. So, the next thing I want to do is I think I'm going to put in all the elements. I'm going to cover all the white of the canvas, and then we'll go from there. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do. Okay, what are we going to do? Okay, I am going to go with those as cliffs. So we're going to go with Payne's Gray, Yellow Ochre, and Alizarin Crimson. We're going to make these, sorry, stepped on the camera. We're going to make these cliffs. Wasn't sure exactly what, that just kind of came to me. There's a lot of red in this, as you can see. That's good. I love red in my cliffs. When I put that highlights on, it just gives that gives it a beautiful, almost shimmer, depending on how your highlights go. And what I'm probably going to end up doing is extend the waterfall down a little bit. Because I'm going to make this a little bit of land under here. Yeah, I think so. What I'm going to do too, I'm going to keep that same mixture. I'm going to put in the land on this side. Now, if you notice by my rhetoric, the way I'm talking, none of this is planned out, okay? Again, let me use that same phrase. One of the beauties of oil painting, especially the way I like to do it, and a lot of people do it that way too, I make it up as I go along. It's fun. Now, do I use photo reference at times? Of course, everybody does. Do I, look and see a reference? Of course. Do I this? Of course. But like this painting, I knew I wanted fresh water. Okay, there it is. Everything else was kind of, this might look good here, this might look good there, whatever the case may be. You put it together. By the way, whoever's listening and watching my video, that's my bird, Raphael. Well, my wife's bird, Raphael. Raphael, everybody that's watching. He's a little Quaker parrot that doesn't like to be ignored. And right now my wife is upstairs in her studio doing her stuff while I'm downstairs in my studio doing this video. And he feels like he's being ignored, which is ridiculous, but he likes a lot of attention. Okay, we're almost done with the initial lay-in. I'm not sure how I'm doing this now. I was going to bring the waterfall down, but I'm thinking those cliffs, I'm liking the way that is. So I am going to go, I'm going to keep the waterfall the way it is. I'm going to bring the cliff up. It's going to have a little reddish tinge. Now this cliff came down below the waterfall. I don't know if you can see it. Use another brush. The waterfall comes down to there, and then this little cliff came down to here. I brought it down by mistake. I like the way it looks like it's coming around like that. So I'm going to actually leave that the way it is. I might actually put the waterfall and these up a hair to make sure I don't lose this. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to take some blue and add it to that same Payne's Gray mixture that I had with the sap green and all that other neat stuff. One of the things too, I don't know if you've noticed, but maybe by the lack of talking about it, I haven't used much medium after the initial lay-in. The lay-in is where I use the most medium because that's where I want it to be that real transparent, tonalist look. I'm pouring just a touch more medium on for right now, but I've used very little medium. And I normally don't use a lot anyways. I use it just enough to get the consistency that I want. But in general, I like using, pardon my English, or lack thereof. I like just using the pigments as they are. I don't like anything too thin other than the initial lay-in. And one of the beauties of oil painting, I'm just kidding, I have nothing to say about that right now. Alrighty, almost there. Last bit of white of the canvas left. Okay, now, the only thing I got left to do with the water is to get the consistent across. Make sure everything's horizontal. Come on. This is a nice easel. I bought a Blick. It's not all that expensive. It's got the thing on the top here I can secure the canvas with. For some reason, I cannot paint that way. I like grabbing my canvas and manipulating it, moving it. So every once in a while, like you see, it falls off when I put it on the ledge part instead of the real deep part. So every once in a while, it falls. So I apologize. I hope it doesn't get in your way of, anything. Okay, now this is complete as far as our block end. Okay, we're done with the block end. We're done with the sketch. We're done with all that other stuff. So now it's a matter of using thicker opaque paint to do our highlights, our shadows, put in our little grasses, weeds, whatever the case may be. Now we start to put it together. But this is the initial part. Some people think this is the toughest part. I think, for me personally, I don't know if it's the funnest part of the painting. I hope my English isn't so bad today. But it's a lot of fun. I love this part because this is the creation method. This is the creation part of it. This is where, you know, you might have a thought in your brain and you're starting to bring it to life a little bit, so you get to see a little bit of that blueprint from what's in your head onto the canvas. So to me, this is an exciting part of the painting. I've got everything that I'm looking for in our elements, and we're going to be ready to go as soon as I get more paper towels out. So let me just tear off a few sheets here. Meantime, if you want to, no, you're not going to have time to go get something to drink. Although this isn't live, so yeah, just pause it and go get something to drink and come back. And then once you hit play again, you wouldn't have lost anything. You would have still seen it all. Although I have done a couple lives and I'm going to do them again. Lives are a lot of fun. So, okay, so what we're going to do now, I want to get a little bit of my shadows and highlights in on these. What we're going to use, the palette knife. For this, for sure, this might be a brush because I don't want them as defined. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a little bit of yellow ochre with a little bit of white. And I'm going to do my best. I got to get a little closer to the easel, and I don't want to hit the tripod the camera's on again, but we'll see. I'm a little clumsy sometimes. There we go. I don't want to go crazy with the highlights either. One, a lot of them are going to be covered with foothills, trees, greenery, that type of stuff. Two, you just want to be a little more subtle. With a knife, it's hard to do sometimes. That's why I'm kind of doing this. Okay, so, yeah, that looks pretty good. So now I'm going to put the knife away. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a flat brush. And I'm not going to add any color right now. I might not at all. It depends how it goes. So, we established light sources in the top left. So, the top left is going to be lit. There's going to be a lot of stuff growing up from here. So that's why I didn't go that far down. And the other thing is, too, depending on the time of day, it might not even be there anyway, light-wise. So, now I got the shadows this way. I mean, the highlights this way. I'm going to make the shadows go this way. And that's going to give it that, let me get this brush out of my hand, that look, okay? That's going to give it the three-dimensional look. So I'm using the paint that's on there, the dark that's on there. To blend. to look at this without getting my head in the way. Okay. That'll work. I'm going to add a little bit of blue and white just to opaque it a little bit more. But not a lot. Not a lot. It's only in a few areas. I want to make sure that shadow is pronounced enough. There we go. I got one more shadow line that I didn't see that I need. That's right here. There we go. Okay. So now this brush, I'm probably not going to use for a while or at all. And since that's the case, I'm going to actually not only rinse it, but wash it. So that's the first brush I've washed. Okay, now, the next thing we're going to do, palette knife one more time. This time much smaller. That's the first one we used. You can see how big it is. So this one's like 2.5 times smaller. We're going to do the same thing we did initially, but just much smaller increments and not everywhere. A little bit here, a little bit here, there, that type of thing. I just want to have a little bit of, need some of the back here. There we go. A little bit more weight in this. There we go. Just a little bit more defined. There we go. Maybe at the top just a little bit. Bring it down. There we go. I'll make another one right here. A little bit of a bare area. There we go. Okay, now we're good. And we're done with the palette knife. I'm probably going to use the palette knife for a little bit here, so let me rephrase that. We're done with the palette knife for now. Okay. So I am going to use a brush for this. I can use a, what am I going to use? What do you think I should use here? How about a little tiny filbert brush? Because we're not going to make anything drastic here. We're going to have a little bit of green, dark green, a little bit of yellow, but not a lot. Remember, these were going to be faint. I needed to have something on here. But I didn't want it. I needed to have something in the back as a highlight, but I didn't want anything that's going to be pronounced. I wanted it more faint. So again, I'm done with this little filbert. I'll wash it. I'm going to take a little bit bigger brush. That one's a little too small for what I need to do next. A little craft brush. Michael or Hobby Lobby for $2 or something. Take a little bit of blue with the white. Hope it's not too blue or too white. Let's test it out over here. There we go. There we go. That's actually coming out good. Big thing is you want to do the same thing to this that you did with this mountain, but just much, much fainter. But you're doing the same thing. Okay? Actually, I like the way this brush is laying stuff down. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to try the white, a little bit of green. I want these. That's what I was looking for. Okay, I hope you can see that. Let me get close to my monitor. Yeah, it comes out a little bit. Obviously, it's a lot less pronounced than the foreground mountain, but you can still see it. Okay, not sure here. Yeah, I am. I'm actually going to use this brush that I just used, and I'm going to get some little foothills up there. Foothills are really, really complicated, and trust me, that was sarcasm. Be a little bit of blue, Payne's gray. It's got to have some blue in it for these distant ones. And then you're just going to touch and flick upward. What we're going to do, we're going to get a base in. And then we'll have some longer and bigger ones. But we're going to get the base. And the base is what we got going right here. Okay, that's the base. Now, we're going to do the same thing, a little lighter touch, and we're going to just draw it up a little higher. So, more blue than Payne's gray, but you want them both. And then you want to go. Go right into the sky, doesn't matter. There you go. That's it for those. Okay? And it's hard to tell on the monitor probably, but you can see a lot of blue. I do got to get this a little bit better. There we go. But I've got no specific shape to these. They're going in a couple of different directions, leaning right, leaning left. Doesn't matter. Okay, looks like clumps of trees, clumps of bushes, clumps of whatever. That's what it's supposed to look like. Now, over here, we're going to do something very similar, except we're going to lighten it up with some yellow, because this is such a dark background. If I put nothing but Payne's Gray and Blue, you ain't going to see it. So I'm going to go the same thing, same dirty brush, and I'm going to bring these up. Now these are in the foreground, so they're much taller. So we're not going to have anything go up over this, like here. But one of the nice things is, with the Payne's Gray and there's some sap green in there, you hit the yellow and you get a real pretty green to it anyways. And then over here, blend that in. There you go. That looks good. Now, I stopped over here because I want to get this distant mid-ground, mid to background grass in over here, because some of these will now go up over this top. So I wanted to do that first. So what I'm going to do is we're going to have yellow ochre and green, sap green, and lemon yellow. Tap this mixture in. What I want to do is vary the colors. You see I got a little more yellow, a little more sap green, a little more yellow ochre. This base color showing through. That's what you want to do. You don't want everything all together. Again, I'm not trying to insult your intelligence. It's a landscape painting. You don't have just blue, just green, just yellow, and the grass, trees, or anything else. You got a variety of everything. So you want to keep a variety in your paintings. Not only a variety of colors, but textures too. I'm hitting it a little harder as I come forward to make it a little pronounced, because when it comes forward, it is going to be. There we go. Okay, I kind of like that. Okay, now I'm going to do, I'm going to say something weird, but I want to, what's the proper word to use? Okay. I'm real rough with this. And that texture should be a little bit more for maybe this part of the midground towards the foreground. So I want to smooth that out a little bit, but I don't want to lose a lot of those shapes. So what we're going to do, take a big, soft, it's a bristle, but it's still a real soft bristle, fan brush, okay? And I'm going to gently, maybe on a scale of 1 to 10 pressure, 10 being the heaviest pressure, probably pressure like 3, okay? And I'm going to do is just everything horizontal, but I'm moving the paint. I'm breaking it up a little bit. kind of placing it where I want it. But I'm getting rid of that heavy texture. The heaviest texture is best for stuff that's in the foreground. There you go. Perfect. I actually like that a lot. And now I'm going to use this. There we go. Okay. Now, the next thing I want to do, now that I'm looking at it, I really like some stuff over here. So I'm going to use this same everything. So Payne's Gray, Payne's Gray and French Ultramarine. I'm going to pick and choose a couple of areas. I'm going to do the same thing. A couple of small ones, big ones. Keep everything different. There you go. This one come up just a little bit. Okay. Wipe off the brush, just gently. This will ground this vegetation in. Make it look like it's coming out of the ground instead of just sitting up there. Okay, so this area is done. You still see some of the distant hill, a couple of the highlights faint, but you can still see them. You're looking at the painting right here. You get some little foliage of some sort here. I may put a little bit, not a lot, maybe a little bit, smidgen of color here towards the end. I'm not sure yet, doubtful, but you never know. Now I can take the same brush, I can go with my green, and I can go right up here, all the way through my waterfall. Because this waterfall, you're not going to know where the water feeding is coming from. I'm going to assume, because I see nothing here, it's coming from off the painting. And that's one of the many beauties, I haven't said that in a while, of landscape painting. You can do stuff to where, okay, you're going to have a waterfall there, and the viewer can decide where they want the water to be coming from. It could be coming from behind this, to the left, who the heck knows, doesn't matter. That's fun of creating. See, it changed it up on you. I'm probably going to use a fan brush and make some bigger ones right over here. I want to get this base in first. There we go. Okay. What I'm thinking of doing, gotta go much darker than that, John. Okay, let's try lighter. There we go. See, that's why I wanted to finish the grass back there first. And then it's going to go over it with this. Here we go. As a matter of fact, I'll use that texture, a couple areas here. I like the way that looked. Now, that's again, and I'm trying to point these instances out to you about painting where There's some people that paint that swear by a rigid plan. I am not among those people. Now, I'm not saying they're wrong. They're wrong for me, okay? For them, that might be exactly what they need. But I love the spontaneity that painting, especially oil painting, gives you. I saw the way these were looking, and I'm like, wait a minute, that would look awesome over here. And I just started putting them in. And I'm not putting them in everywhere. I'm putting a lot in, but I'm not putting them in everywhere. And I want to blend them in, so I'm tapping a little harder. I don't want just pure white. I mean, pure yellow, rather. There you go. Okay, now that looks so much better. Okay, so. Yeah, that's coming out real good. Okay. I'm cleaning off this brush because I'm not sure if I'm going to need it again. If I'm sure I'm going to need it again, I probably wouldn't, but I may not, so then I just wash it, put it away. You can do that however you want, whatever means to you. The only thing I don't want to say stress, that's a little too harsh, but maybe urge. Don't get in the habit of washing your brushes constantly. It is harsh on the brushes, and they'll last a little bit longer if you don't. Now, this I don't like a lot. I like the basic idea of it, but I'm going to do the same thing with that I did with this yellow over here. I'm going to tap in some stuff. This is the same color mixture. Payne's Gray, French Ultramarine. Just give it a little bit of texture, but I don't want to have anything pronounced color-wise where it'll bring it forward, okay? I need it to still be background. So I'm using the same color. I'm just having it more than just stringy stuff. If that makes any sense. Oh my, I like that so much better already. Okay, so we're in good shape. Okay, that unfortunately is my work phone text. So we're going to take about a 10-second break here to make sure it's not an emergency. And at the moment, it's not. That's good. I apologize I had to go away for a few seconds. But with the position I am at work, I am 24/7. If there's a problem on the road, sometimes you got to be there. Okay, so I work for a good company though, so it doesn't bother me that on a Sunday afternoon when I'm trying to do a painting video, something happens. Come March this year, I'll be there 19 years. I started out as a forklift driver on first shift, and I'm a fleet maintenance manager now for all of our equipment for the road. So they've been good to me. So when the phone goes off in the middle of the night, or just like it's just now, it's like, no big deal. It's part of the deal. That's why they pay me. Okay, so next thing I want to do. Not sure how I'm going to finish this. I want to say palette knife, but I'm not 100% sure yet. I love the way the palette knife did that one, but I don't want this to look the same as that. Now, this has a lot more red in it, where that had a lot more Payne's Gray in it. So that is going to be different, but, I stress the word but, this is still close to the foreground, so it may need some texture. I may start with a brush and then end up with a knife. So I'll figure it out as I go. In the meantime, I'm going to start with my water. Now, doing a waterfall, straight titanium white, start at one area, lightly touch and bring it down. Almost the same as this stroke, but downward instead of upward. You got to decide how wide your waterfall is going to be. And I just did. This is it. Okay, now I'm going to wipe my brush off. Load it up with more titanium white. And this time I'm going to do the same stroke in the same area, but I'm going to hold it differently. I'm going to hold it like this. I was doing like this, so you can see the angle. Now I'm going to do it like this, and that's going to lay this color on top of that. See how I got a base, but it's still relatively dark and you can see through it? I want a little bit more water look. So now, might help if I bring it up here, because I can go straight down then. Just bring it. There you go. There you go. I got the nice little break where I want it and everything else. I just kind of get that top done. There we go. Now what I'm going to end up doing is coming in with land or rock or something right over the top of it. Okay? Just so it looks like the water's coming out of the rock itself. Like right now it looks like it starts and stops there. I want to put stuff over there so you don't know where it's coming from. Maybe I'll bring vegetation over, and then maybe the stream is behind it, something like that. Okay, so got that done. Next thing I'm gonna do is the brush I'm using, just used, I can do this whole thing with, but it's so small, it'll take a lot longer. And I really like using the fan brush for water. Okay, so that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to load up with white, whatever's in the white. Again, you want to keep your strokes horizontal. Please let me know, if you watch this video or one more of mine or whatever. I think this is the first one that I've done a regular video like this with a webcam. The rest of them are with a real nice iPhone. And I don't know which is better. So if you like this better or you like the iPhone, just let me know. Because I don't care which one I use as long as it's good for you guys. Okay, now I'm going to put more blue in. You don't want the water to just be white only. Then we're going to put waves on top. I want to get a nice mixture of the blue in there, a little bit of green. It already has a little bit of red. There we go. Now, you don't have to wash the brush. You don't have to wipe it off or nothing. Actually, nope. Now you do have to wipe it off. Every once in a while, you miss a place, and I missed a place really bad. There we go. There we go. Now we can do the waves. You don't want to get carried away with these either. But we're going to smooth them out, keeping the texture like we did the grass up here. And we're not going to show reflection because this is moving water. Coming from a waterfall, it's going to be moving pretty good. Now you can see too, I'm putting these waves over that dark blue on the top of it, but not into it. I want to keep that dark blue. Okay, I think that'll work. I'm going to wipe off the brush, not clean it. Then I'm going to do that nice little thing I did. And here I'm going to keep a lot more jagged. Okay, got a little bit more to do. Thing about painting, a lot of people don't understand until they get into it. It's a process, obviously, but it's a process within a process. What I mean by that is you put your base layer in, then you add it to it, then you add this to it, then you add this to it. You look back and see what you like, you don't like, stuff like that. And then you just refine it to get to what you want. Just like I did with the hills, the mountains, background foliage and stuff like that. You just refine it as you go. I think I'm going to use a bigger brush to do the same thing I did before. I didn't get the look that I wanted with the fan brush. See, like for this one, I love this. Where I got the Payne's Gray, the French Ultramarine Dark, a little bit the alizarin here, more of the white here. I love the way I have all that stuff in there. So that came out really nice. I'm going to use this really dirty brush, but I'm going to be very light-handed. Put that up here so I can get it through. There we go. Let me get back. Okay, I like that action. I like that action a lot. Okay. So, it's funny. This brush, we started from the beginning. I haven't brushed it yet. Okay, now what we're going to do, still not 100% sure what we're going to do with this or with this. So I'm going to do the foreground grass here. And see how we did this here? Touching and moving up. We're going to do the same thing on this riverbank here. And that's where our beautiful, colorful flowers are going to be. So, Payne's Gray, French Ultramarine. It's a combination you've heard before. And you can hear me touching and lifting. Now I'm getting some of the white of my waves and stuff in here. That's okay. And I can just keep putting on the blue and the French Ultramarine and the Payne's Gray, and that'll darken them. And then when I put that the deep alizarin crimson on, that'll really do well. Okay, over here, real bad. There we go. There we go. Okay. Hope everybody's enjoying this video. If you made it this far, I would like to say thank you and hope you're enjoying it. And if you are this far, then you probably are enjoying it. So if you are, please consider hitting that subscribe button. I've got 404 subscribers, which is about 403 more than I thought I'd ever get when I started doing this stuff a couple of years ago. So it is actually exciting. I mean, over 400 subscribers. I mean, like I said, I'm going to be 58 years old next month. So I'm not in the era of computers and internet and stuff. When I went to school, our high school was a 5A school. We didn't have computers until I was a junior, and Windows wasn't even out then. So for me to think that, I can have 400 subscribers just showing people how I paint, that's pretty awesome to me. So make yourself 405 and see what happens. And then hit the bell button. I think it is, right? Notification button, bell button, something like that. And you'll be told when I upload new videos, which I've been very good. The last 5-6 weeks, I believe I've been pretty good with one a week. In the summertime, when it comes in, I want to do a little bit more than once a week. In the wintertime, because I'm preparing for shows and stuff, I'm only that, so I'm getting better. And any support you give me, any feedback you give me is greatly appreciated. Okay, now let's get my foliage brush. And you know what my foliage brush is? It's an old beat up fan brush. Let me see if I can. Okay. I don't know if you can tell. Let's see if I can hold it with one hand. But these bristles are mangled. Okay. You see, I do a lot of scrubbing and stuff, so it mangles those bristles. However, that mangled bristle is absolutely beautiful for foliage, and I will show you how. Just go right straight in to my alizarin crimson. Look at that. Nice and thick, beautiful alizarin crimson flowers. And you don't want them all the same. You just want a little all over the place. We're going to have some yellow in there. We're going to have some green in there. We're going to have all kinds of stuff in there. Make them up like this. However you want to do it. Have fun with it. If you're not having fun, you're not painting correctly. Okay. You got to have fun when you're painting, when you're creating art. Cool. Look at that butterfly I just made wiping it off. I probably couldn't draw one that good. Okay, now we're going to go. Beautiful orange coming your way. Look at that. Look at that. How is this not fun? Now, the next thing I'm going to do, after I make another butterfly with my paper towel, I'm not going to wash my brush, but I am going to wipe it off. Then I'm going to take some yellow. Got a little bit of red in it from before, but still more yellow. Remember I have French ultramarine and Payne's Gray? Well, I'm tapping in these yellow flowers. Guess what? Some of them are turning green. Isn't that an awesome thing? There we go. Now I'm going to rinse this brush off, even though I'm going to use it again, only because I'm not sure which colors, and I want to make some flowers a little more vibrant of its main color than another one. I'm not 100% sure yet, but that's kind of the gist. So like I said, you don't want to overwash your brushes constantly, but when in doubt, if you're not sure, go ahead and wash them. It takes you a few seconds, no big deal. Okay. Now I'm going to take my other fan brush that's not as beat up yet, dip into straight yellow, a little bit of orange in it. And I'm just beating it into the canvas because of all that Payne's gray in there. See how it's turning green? There we go. Okay, that part's done. So this part, I'm gonna do the same thing, except I'm gonna use more sap green. So sap green, Windsor lemon. I want it darker because we got so light here. And once again, I don't want to cover all of this with the yellow ochre. There we go. See how I went straight over where the water started? Now it looks like it's part of it. Now I'm not going to go up to the cliffs yet because I want to get color on those first with the highlights, and then I'll put this over it. So it'll look like there's vegetation growing over it. So I'm only going to go this far for right now. Okay. So. Okay. I am going to use the knife. I got white in my blue in my white, so I don't care. Maybe a little bit more yellow ochre in here will look a little better. Okay, I'm liking that. Whoa! Pushing hard on my stuff and fell right off my shelf here. I'm glad that wasn't on camera. That would have been embarrassing. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take the fan brush, I'm going to fill this in. And then I am going to give myself a little bit of land under here because I'm going to have some green coming up into that, similar to what I did there. So let's finish the top of these bad boys first. There we go. Okay, now it's going to be more yellow. And then obviously with that dark, I'm going to get the green. Now I will have to, as you can tell, tidy up my water. That's okay. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to take thick yellow. Mix together. Oh, Rafster. My bird has, well, my wife's bird has such a tough life. And he wants everybody to know it. There we go. Okay. A little bit more. Wiping the brush. Okay, so now the delicate part comes. Okay, because we did get a little bit of the grain into our water. So with the edge, ever so delicately. You don't want to disturb the water. There you go. Just like that. Okay. So the only thing that's missing, and I wasn't going to do it, but I'm going to have to. I'm going to have a big tree here and a big tree here. And I just made up my mind to that about 5 minutes ago. Another thing that's awesome about landscape painting. You don't have to worry about it. If you like it, do it. If you don't like it, don't do it. So we're going to go with green, a little bit of red, a little bit of lemon crimson, a little bit of blue, a little bit of every damn thing. We're not going to have a lot of them. We're just going to have a couple. I'm going to leave this. I'm going to have one on this side. And this one is going to kind of branch out together. Okay. I'm going to put those like that. I'm going to have a couple right there. There we go. Right here. There we go. That's plenty. Sometimes I get carried away. It's easy to do. I've been painting for a long time and I still get carried away once in a while. When you got something you're putting down that's starting to look really good, you're like, ooh, let's do more. And please believe me, when it comes to a lot of things, but especially art, less is more. And it took a while for me to be able to kind of control myself, but I didn't want to cover everything we did. I mean, this stuff in here, I'm debating right now of one more. Yeah, I think I am, to balance it. I gotta have one more big tree in there, and that'll balance it. That's one of the things, and I'll tell you in a second as soon as I put this tree up. See the way we got this whole thing now? Okay, I'm gonna do one more tree, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. But I don't want to get rid of those faint highlights in the background, so I'm gonna go right through. This one's gonna come out. Now, if I go here, I'm gonna mess up those highlights. I'm gonna leave it alone. Okay, you see how it's balanced now? Got the 3, 3, 3, 2 over here. If I didn't have this here, it would have just looked awkward. So now I've got it to where everything is a little bit more stable, I guess. A little more balanced, however you want to call it. And I didn't want to go all the way down into here because I like a lot of this stuff and I don't want to cover it. Okay, so we're going to use the same dirty ass brush. Okay, so we just did these in. The only difference is we're going in straight lemon yellow, Windsor lemon, I'm sorry. I'm going to put this highlight on. And then after we get the highlight on, we'll come and tap it in a little extra to make it green instead of just the stark yellow. Just yellow by itself doesn't look right. And if you haven't guessed, when you're landscape painting, especially like me, I prefer painting spring, summer. You go through a ton of yellow. It's a beautiful color. And the Windsor lemon is one of my favorite colors. I love lemon. This one was a lot thicker than I thought. But that's okay. Thick textured trees are a good thing. Okay. So, let's get another paper towel out here. Actually, we need a couple of them. Now, what we're going to do is, sometimes I'll use that same 2-inch brush to blend it in. But I can tell by the way it's going, I'll be better off with the fan brush. And what I mean by that is, because of the thickness, I'm going to use the fan brush and I'm going to kind of wiggle it a little bit to get some stuff sticking out. And I'll show you what I mean. And tapping in, and I'm kind of doing this. See how that stark yellow just turned green? And I'm kind of like this. And when you got the brush in your hand, you can go off to the sides like I'm doing. You can do whatever the heck you want. And I haven't cleaned it, I haven't done anything to it. I'm just kind of maneuvering it around, making shapes. But the big thing I want to do is I want to get that nice green in there without having that crazy yellow only. The yellow was just to put in place, but not to keep it together. If that makes any sense. Okay, now I'm going to take some more that's stark yellow, and I'm going to anchor these trees. A little bit more there. Okay, now that I think we can say is a completed painting. I want to thank everybody for your attention and for tuning into my video. I hope you enjoyed it. And like I said, if you did, please consider subscribing. If you don't, no hard feelings. So I hope everybody has a very safe week. Be careful with the extreme temperatures. I think most of the U.S. is going to be in them. So just take your time and be careful. And I hope you have a great day, a great week, and I will see you next week.